Okay, had a regular game week type Tuesday, really starting to get into our game plan specifics as far as Louisville is concerned. Our offense and defense quite a bit more separate than what we've done the first 3 weeks, and just start to hone in on that. I think both coordinators were pleased with our kids' attention and their approach to practice. Obviously, there's going to be some things to clean up when you start putting in your game plan and all that, but overall, I think it was a positive day.
Questions?
I guess how have you adapted to one of the three quarterbacks that Louisville might play on the fifth?
Well, I think you got to be prepared for all of them. I think that's probably the biggest thing, especially going into our first game. And first game's really is about adjustments. I mean, you got to be ready to adjust. You can prepare for all the different scenarios, but usually at the end of the first quarter, everybody kind of shows their hand. You've got to be able to adjust if you're going to be successful in the first game.
Bobby Petrino said that they started working on this game right after Christmas break. When did you start preparing for it, whether it's just hit and play for the first time?
Yeah, well, I mean, as a coaching staff, I mean, you really start thinking ahead. Usually your first, 3 or 4 games in the off season, the summer and all that. But, we had a lot of work to do ourselves, to get ready for ourselves as far as offense and defense. There's special teams too. Like I've told you all along, there's a lot of special teams, young guys that will be a factor. So we've really been focusing on ourselves, and we got 2 full weeks to prepare. And I feel good about where we're at.
Gus, there's still some positions where you were splitting reps today?
They are. Yeah, matter of fact, the same ones we talked about last, we still have the same situation, which is not bad. And probably in the next week, we'll probably get a little more specific. That would be the plan, but a lot of those same guys, shared reps.
Yes, Louisville's D-line, some of the analytics out there are very favorable for their D-line in 98 rankings. Just how much of a run stopper he was. How much of a concern is he for you where the interior of your line is Alex, who sat out, Austin, who sat out, and Braden, who didn't play very much, up against possibly the best interior defender in the country?
He's really good. There's no doubt about that. And he's got some other guys up front. I think they're very good up front. I think their two inside linebackers are very experienced. I mean, they were one of the best teams in the country stopping the run last year, and turnovers and sacks. I mean, they're a really good defense. And like I've said before, I feel very good about our guys. I feel very good about our guys up front. But it takes a while to start gelling, and the way that you gel is through games. But it's a good challenge. Our guys are looking forward to it, but they're definitely a good defensive front.
How has Trey Matthews kind of progressed? I know he's out, missed some time.
Yeah, he's back. He's back this week. He's full throttle. He has been back doing limited stuff up to this point, but today he was full throttle and looked good out there running around.
Secondary in general, just a lot of new faces. I'm sure you touched on it in fall camp, but I know you work with the office. What have you seen from that secondary and some of the new guys? How are they kind of gelling together? Well,
I tell you what, they're competing, and there's some good competition. And like I said, those young guys are making the older guys better, and I think it's a really good mix. We got some veterans back there. We got some very talented young guys that I feel like will have a chance to be really good before the season's out. So depth was definitely a concern of ours in the secondary going into fall camp. I really believe, Coach T-Rob and Coach Muschamp feel better about that right now. I mean, obviously, we don't want a whole lot of injuries back there, but we got some bodies that we feel like can help us, and so that's a good thing.
Let's just talk about the progression for you guys through the camp period now, kind of into. Are you about where you wanted to be?
I think so. We were very physical. We trained our guys, very hard, and when you do that, you always worry about losing a guy or two, and we're a little banged up, but it's a good banged up, and I think we'll be fresh and ready to go, and should have all hands on deck at least at this point, going into the opener.
That's a carry-on situation.
Yeah, he was back out there practicing today, so that's good. Matter of fact, I believe everybody was out there practicing today.
This extended camp, I mean, basically 5 weeks. How tough is it to know when to pull back on some guys like Trey and some of those guys that maybe could have played?
I think that's every coach in the country has that question, and you just got to have a feel for your team. Really, we only had 2 weeks of fall camp, and then we started school pretty early. So, last week was a regular kids went to class and we practiced. Today was really the first day full force that we started preparing for our opponent. And but so far so good. I like where we're at, and like I said, I think we'll be in good shape going into the first game as far as health is concerned.
Just not to make more of it than it was, but Byron had a couple of tweets the other day that caught a lot of attention. Just seemed to be a little frustrated. Just have you spoken to him about that?
Yeah, he's a young guy, and he's going to be fine. He's going to be a very good player for us, and he's a young guy that'll learn.
Gus, those young guys, how much does it help them now to move into game plan where you start focusing a little bit?
I think it probably helped a lot. Those guys we're starting to be more specific, and anytime you're an inexperienced guy, the more specific you can be, it really helps you play fast. And so, all those guys, I know the game plan will definitely help them, and offensively too.
Auburn's typically been pretty good in the Georgia Dome. How much of an advantage do you feel like you guys have? I mean, since it's just an hour and a half away, and you kind of used to that.
Well, my experience when we played there before, we've had a home field advantage. Our fans are, are very loud. They come out, and I think our fans really like us playing there too. And, I know our players and our coaches look forward to playing there, and so, our goal is to start there and finish there. And so, our kids are looking forward to playing a very good team, to open up the season there.
Do you prefer to play on field turf like in the Georgia Dome or grass?
Really, I don't really have a preference. That's a great venue to play in, but I really don't have a preference.
Gus, can you talk about the left tackle competition? Devontae, is he getting better? And Alex, how's he doing health-wise?
Left guard?
Yeah.
Yeah, both those guys are really getting equal reps, and they're both veteran guys. And Alex, he looks like the same old guy he was before. And, Devontae is a guy that has really improved, and he did a solid job for us last year. But there's nothing better than experience, and game experience, and he's very confident. So, that's a good thing that we've got, two guys at that spot, and both of those could play the right side if they needed to too. So, that's good.
Gus, hadn't heard a lot about Braden. Him moving inside.
Mm-hmm.
Athletically, it seems like a good fit. What have you seen out of him?
Yeah, Braden's getting more comfortable inside, and he's extremely strong. He's extremely powerful. He's a very good athlete, and playing inside, it just takes a while to communicate with the center and communicate with the tackle and all the calls we have. But I think he's in a real good spot. Going into the season, he's got a chance to be a really good inside guy.
Gus, you said it was a good thing about the offensive lineman, still not decided on the starters there, but in the past you've also talked about how important it is to have continuity and
Sure.
having five working together. How do you sort of balance that?
Yeah, that's a great question. You do have to balance it, and next week sometime we'll have to make a decision and make some decisions. But I will say this: both those guys will play, and both those guys will help us.
At center and guard, or are you talking about?
No, just at left guard. Left guard. You still
Yeah.
talking about left guard?
You've had such workhorses at tailbacks the last couple of years. But now you've got 3 or 4 that, is there much separation there? Is that something that's not going to shake
I
out?
really feel a little bit like we did in 2013. Now we have more information than we did in 2013, but we got 3 guys that can do it, and we'll see who kind of steps up. But like I said, we got 3 that we think are pretty good.
I know you don't like looking ahead, but is it important to have a guy step up by the time you open the SEC in week 3?
I think that would be the plan that you would really like. We're just going to let it happen. We're going to see how everything works out. But that would be nice.
Is Duke still with the second team or?
Yes. Yeah. He is.
Have you seen specific evidence that, the multiple things that Will does on defense is going to help you, especially early on in the season?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. He's really good at what he does, and he's got the guys playing extremely hard.